Imagine meeting someone, trusting them, only to have that very trust lead to your untimely death. For 19-year-old Damilola Abigail Olowoyo, this wasn't just a nightmare, it was her tragic reality. A bright 100-level biology student at the Federal University of Lokoja, Damilola had her entire life ahead of her, but in an unthinkable act of betrayal, her life was stolen in the most horrific way possible. Let's rewind to how it all began. Damilola was just like any other student. Ambitions, full of dreams. She had her entire life ahead of her. Then comes Jeremiah Paul, a 20-year-old from Chikun local government in Kaduna State. But unlike Damilola, Jeremiah wasn't in Lokoja for studies or any legitimate business like that. He was driven by greed, desperation, and determined to make quick money. And he believed the fastest way to get rich was through rituals. Yes, you heard me right, through ritual killings. It was a typical Sunday when Jeremiah approached Damilola, probably with a smile, acting as though he was interested in getting to know her. What might have felt like a budding connection to Damilola was actually a carefully constructed trap. They exchanged numbers, began chatting, and everything appeared innocent on the surface. But Jeremiah already knew Damilola would be his next victim, a pawn in his twisted plot for quick rise to wealth through ritual killings. In his own words, Jeremiah admitted,
I met her on Sunday. So I approached her, I talked to her, I collected her phone number. So we started chatting. So I told her whenever she's free, she should let me know. So I already had it on mind that I'm going to use Damilola ritual.
Imagine the weight of that statement. To Damilola, it was just a friendly exchange, but to Jeremiah, it was the beginning of her end. From the very beginning, Jeremiah knew what he wanted. He knew what he was doing from the moment he set eyes on Damilola. This was never about love. It was never about friendship. This was premeditated evil, and the internet became his dark guide. Through TikTok, of all places, he stumbled upon a native doctor who was giving instructions on how to perform a deadly ritual. That's right, Jeremiah had met a native doctor through the app, one who instructed him on what parts to harvest from a young woman for his ritual. Now I know what you are thinking. How did we get to a place where an app designed for entertainment is being used to plot murders? The ease with which Jeremiah accessed this information speaks volumes about the dark corners of social media. Anyways, his plan was set in motion. On Wednesday, 4th of September 2024, Jeremiah invited Damilola to hang out. To her, it seemed like a harmless meeting with someone she had been chatting with for a few days. But Jeremiah had already set his deadly plan. What's even more chilling is the meticulous way he executed this plan. Jeremiah got the drug in and mixed it with Sprite. You know, Sprite, the drink. To gain her trust, he took a sip first, a small harmless dose that wouldn't affect him. But when Damilola took hers, she unknowingly sealed her fate. As the drugs began to take effect, she grew weak and disoriented. Jeremiah seized that moment, persuading her to follow him to his house. But instead of taking her to safety, he led her to an uncompleted building nearby, a place where no one could hear her cries for help, where her life will come to a brutal, heart-wrenching end. So once inside the abandoned building, Jeremiah carried out his gruesome plan. He Damilola using her own clothes to bind her legs and neck, ensuring she wouldn't survive. And then in a nightmarish act of brutality, he dismembered her body, her eyes, her lungs, tongue, and parts of her, just as the native doctor had instructed. And then in a cold, calculated move, he packed these body parts into a calabash, wrapped it in a black and white cotton, and handed them to a driver who would deliver them to the native doctor in Ibadan. In return, the driver would bring back a ritual soup that Jeremiah believed would make him rich. He then went ahead and buried Damilola's body in a nearby bush, a heartbreaking end to a life full of potential. But honestly, I can't help but be baffled by people who believe in these rituals. If it's really that easy to get rich, then why are these native doctors and their entire generation still broke? Why are they the ones asking for small amounts of money to supposedly make their own clients wealthy? If they really had the power to bring fortune, wouldn't they be the ones living in luxury? It just doesn't add up. Or is it that people aren't just thinking? Anyways, even after ending Damilola's life, Jeremiah's cruelty knew no bounds. He wasn't just content. Posing as a kidnapper, he contacted her family, demanding for 400,000 naira for her release, all the while knowing he was already dead. But greed drives desperation. After receiving the money, Jeremiah returned to the family, asking for an additional 10 million naira. His audacity was staggering, but it was also his downfall. The police had already been tracking his movements after Damilola was reported missing. Using technical support from the force headquarters, they traced his location and arrested him in Lokoja. Now, Jeremiah was not acting alone. 3 other young men were paraded alongside him: Barnabas Olugbenga, Emmanuel Otitoju, and Ajayi Basit. Each had a role, either by aiding in the ritual or offering shelter as Jeremiah carried out his gruesome plan. Now, Barnabas Olugbenga admitted they had reached out to the native doctor after watching his videos on TikTok, asking for soap for cleansing. That's like a charm that will supposedly bring them wealth and success. The other accomplice, Ajayi Basit, a 300-level microbiology student, allowed Jeremiah and his accomplice, and his friend Barnabas, to stay with him while they plotted their journey to Ibadan, where the ritual items will be prepared. Emmanuel, on the other hand, a fellow student of Federal University Lokoja, also denied any involvement. He recalled meeting Damilola and offering advice when she mentioned having problems with her boyfriend. But like Barnabas, he claimed he was unaware of Jeremiah's plan. They all claimed ignorance about the murder. But can we really believe them? As the suspects were paraded by the police, one thing became clear. Damilola's murder wasn't just a crime of passion or greed. It was a reflection of deeper societal issues. The pressures of modern life, the allure of quick money, and the influence of social media had all contributed to this tragic ending. Young men like Jeremiah, barely out of their teenage years, are turning to rituals and crime in a desperate bid for wealth and status. In the words of the police public relations officer, he said,
"Imagine a 20-year-old boy going this far, killing an innocent lady and removing her sensitive parts for a ritual.
At 19, I was focused on my studies, hanging out with friends and figuring out my future, not how to make money." Yet, Damilola's life ended because of a dangerous blend of greed, naivety, and the growing trend of ritual practices among the youths. Damilola was a young woman with dreams, just beginning her journey. But in one tragic encounter, her life was stolen from her. Her story is not just another tragedy, it's a chilling reminder of how trust can be exploited and how the world we live in grows darker by the day. It's about a growing culture of desperation, greed, and complete disregard for human life. And what does this really say about the growing obsession with money and power among the youth today? It's disturbing to see just how far people are willing to go, whether it's for fame, wealth, or a false sense of security. May Damilola's soul rest in peace, and may her story serve as a warning to others about the dangers of misplaced trust and the growing darkness in our world. So guys, what do you think about today's case? Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section. You can check out my video unveiling the horrors of ritualistic murders. Thanks for always tuning in, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye.